Welcome to Crossing Line Sports. My name is Carlos Smith, and back again for another special edition of WNBA Talk with my good friend and WNBA expert, Miss Nicole Oates. Nicole, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you? Out there in
Man, I'm
Vegas?
wet. Yes, ma'am. I'm having a good time out here in Vegas. Had a good time at the game last night. As you know, it was a lot riding on that game. So I was just happy to
Yeah.
be here for the experience, be in that atmosphere. And you could just tell, just being around everybody, that it was a lot riding on this game. You could tell.
Yeah. Well, there's two fantastic franchises too. Like they're both pretty proud and pretty decorated at this point. So yeah. Anytime you get Cheryl and Becky together, it's gonna be a,
It's a
a game.
it was a it definitely was a fun time. So I can just kind of like tell you how it was yesterday. So first of all, I thought the game was going to be at Michelob Ultra Arena, so I ended up going over there. And once I was trying to check in, they was like, "No, I think you got the wrong location." Lo and behold, they were at T-Mobile Arena. So
Hmm.
I was scheduled to do an interview with Jewel Lloyd, so I had to hurry up and go over there. But by the time I got to T-Mobile and got checked in and everything, she was already gone. So hopefully the plan is tomorrow at practice, after practice, I'll be able to grab her or one of the other players. But just being around the team for shoot around, because I was actually there yesterday for both shoot arounds, the Aces and the Lynx. And you could tell with the Aces that they were locked in. And even when I saw Asia, you could tell like she was on the phone with somebody, but you could tell like this game really meant a lot to everybody in the organization. Like they were just even the PR team, everybody was like, trying to make sure everything was going smooth because they knew how important that game was. And then I hung around and I had a chance to go to the Lynx shoot around as well. And we didn't get a chance to do a one-on-one interview. It was kind of like a scrum type interview where all the media comes in and interview players, which is my least favorite type of interview. But so they had a chance to interview Courtney Williams because Nafisa Collier and Kayla McBride they were unavailable because they didn't do shoot around. They didn't participate in shoot around either. So, we had a chance to ask her a couple of questions. And one of the questions that I asked her was something similar to that we talked about a couple of episodes ago was, with the team playing so well without Nafisa and the way Asia was just going crazy, I was like, do you worry that the voters would kind of potentially like use that against her? And she
Mhm.
said, you know, uh, she's not really worried about it. She said, long as basically saying what, as long as Nafisa show up and do what she's supposed to do, everything gonna take care of itself. And she's like, hopefully the voters do the right thing as well. And if you watch
Yep.
that game, like we were saying, it was
Voters gonna have to do what they're supposed to do.
yeah. I I I got it right now for me. Asia is the MVP. Like
Yeah.
she showed up. I mean, Nicole from the jump. Alana Smith hit a three for Minnesota at the beginning of the game. And it's like, uh-oh, here we go. Are they gonna be able to defend the 3-point line? But Asia, they didn't have an answer for Asia at all from the jump. I mean, she came in and fired. As soon as Alana Smith hit the three, she went back down the court, made a basket, and in the first quarter, she had 10 points. And for whatever
Hmm.
reason, I was like, y'all gonna try to double Asia? But they were saying, during post game, they was like, they try to get Asia kind of like in the middle of the court there because if you put on the left side or the right side, they'll try to just crowd whatever side. So if she's in the middle of the court, she got more room to operate. But it didn't matter. Asia was just dominant on both ends of the floor. And for me, I always call Asia the best player, and Nafisa is the second best player in my personal opinion. But
Sure.
Nafisa didn't even look close to Asia last night. Not at all. I mean, she was couldn't guard her. She was getting Asia was on the defensive end. Asia was blocked a shot twice. Like Asia was sensational last night. And like I said, for
Yeah.
me, she's the MVP for me personally.
I'm proud of you. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. Just- I mean, that's how we kind of opened this podcast up when we started. We were talking about it's probably going to come down to Asia versus Nafisa and what's that going to look like, at the end of the season. So here we are, and we're still talking about it. So at
But
least we didn't
my
mismanage
only
that one.
concern, my only concern at that time was I was like, man, the Aces were just so far behind in the standing. I was like, I don't know if they're gonna be able to win enough games to catch up.
Yeah,
And
sure.
now they on a 13 game winning streak. They got the second best record right now in the league. So I'm like, man, if they stay right there at second with the way Age is playing, I was like, man, it's gonna be hard not to give her the MVP. And even when I was talking to other people in the media yesterday, they was pretty much saying the same thing. This game right here is pretty much gonna decide who is the MVP. And Nafisa, man, I
I
love her
mean,
game. I'm a big fan of her, but she didn't have a good night last night. She wasn't even
yeah,
the second best player on her team. She probably was maybe the third best, but behind Courtney Williams and Letitia Hardeman. She played sensational off the bench. Like Nafisa wasn't even the first or second best player on her team last night at all.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting to be here because I mean, nobody necessarily, except for like the diehards, wouldn't have faulted you for having that conversation early in the season. I mean, truthfully, a month ago, we were wondering if Asia was even still in on the short list
Right? Yeah.
because the team was struggling, and I mean, she was still good, but she was in a slump of her own, which is still everybody's best day is
Mhm.
Asia's slump, so take that with that word with a grain of salt. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a conversation that was being had of whether she was going to be like third or fourth in the standings for MVP, and you know she must have heard us. So she definitely has turned it up in the last month.
Yeah.
But it's right on time for playoffs, so good for them.
Yeah. They are
Everything's starting
playing.
to them.
They're playing very well right now. Um, I still question their bench. I don't. I'm still not
Sure.
sold on the bench though. The thing that
Yeah.
I worry
I
about
mean, that team has won championships that they really had no business winning with no bench.
right.
So it definitely is a weakness, but maybe for the Aces, it's not as concerning as it would be for some other teams. Becky and Asia seem to figure it out come playoff time.
They are playing. They playing very well. The thing that worries me with the Aces though, I just feel like I mean she's the best player in the league, but it's almost like she has to play great every single game. Every
Yeah.
single game, she has to put up these crazy numbers just for them to have a chance to win. Even
Yep.
if they have the second best record right now, like just imagine if she wasn't playing as well as she is, they wouldn't even have the second best record right now. But she's done it
Be the
very
Los Angeles Sparks.
yeah. And it's just like, man, like can she really keep this up? Well, I think the teams that they may have to run into potentially, uh, I think the first round, of course, they should be able to handle business depending on who they match up with. If that's Golden State,
If the
uh,
season ended today, I think they'd play Seattle.
Seattle, and that's a scary team. You know how I feel about Seattle. That's
Yeah,
that
just
team.
depends on Seattle's frustrating to me for the same reasons I said earlier in the season. Like which Seattle team is going to show up?
Right? Because I,
There's
I
no, yeah, they're either really good or they're really bad.
yeah, I agree. But to me, they have one of the better rosters out of everybody, like
Like,
top to
yeah,
bottom. If you look at their roster, they got one of the.
stacked.
To me, they have easily like a top three roster in
Yeah,
the league.
absolutely.
It just a matter of can they put it together. So that would be a scary matchup for the Aces, and I think the size and athleticism that they have could bother Asia as well. But right now that's one of my biggest concerns with the Aces is can can somebody else step up with it? I mean, Jackie Young played great as well yesterday too. I believe she had maybe 20, 22 points. But if you look at the rest of the players, I think Chelsea Gray had 12 or 13 points. Jewel Lloyd had 6 coming off the bench. It was just like if Asia doesn't play great, well, she was amazing last night. That's the thing that really worries me about them. And even if it came down to those two teams in the finals, me personally, just looking at them, I probably would still take Minnesota over the Aces in the finals because I think Minnesota would make the proper adjustments to, compete with them.
For a series long and not just a
Yep.
meet in the regular season.
hmm
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think they'll make the adjustments because the way they had Asia, like I said, like right there in the middle of the floor, not on the left side or the right side of the floor, down in the post. I think they'll definitely make the adjustments to kind of like slow her down. And to me, I would double team Asia. Me personally, I would just have to make somebody else beat me
Yeah.
because if you let her get going like she did last night, you're gonna have a long night because she had what 10 in the first quarter, and then I think she had like 17 at the half, and then I think she finished the game with like 31 and 8. And it was just like she did so much damage. Like if you got to figure out a way to get the ball out of her hands and make other people beat you because if you leave it up to Asia, man, she gonna tear you apart.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we'll see.
But it was definitely interesting. Like I said, I for me, Asia's got to be MVP. I still think the Feast is the second best player in the league, but I was definitely a little disappointed. She didn't show up for that game like I thought. I think she finished the game with like 12 points and 6 rebounds. But for anybody that watched that game, it should be no debate who the best player in the league is. Like it's for a moment, I was like, you know what? It might be a little change of guard just for a little split second. I was like, I'm gonna still give it to Asia, but I think it's a lot closer than what people were saying. But when you watch that game last night, it's not even close right now. It's Asia by a long shot, and I just hope the voters. Uh, I don't know if they still gonna reward Minnesota for like I'm big on winning. I reward winning, but to me,
Yeah.
second best record in the league, that's still good enough for me. And I think with the teams that the Aces have left on their schedule, they got two against Chicago, and then they go to LA next Thursday. I think they'll win out. And then that'll be what
They
16
should.
straight games. So I believe they should win out.
Yeah, they definitely should. I mean, Chicago might be without Reese, and LA's struggling to even, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. So,
Yeah, it looks like unless LA pretty much wins out and then something happens with Indiana, which we're gonna talk about that a little bit later as well. I think the Sparks are gonna be on the outside looking in.
yeah, just that's too bad. I had
You
higher Well, I had higher expectations for Chicago too. So maybe I'm the problem.
what I didn't think Chicago was gonna make the playoffs. I went too high on them, but when I watched the Sparks, I was like, you know what? I think this team can slide into the 7 or 8 seed, which is still a
I mean,
small chance.
the playoffs are 8 spots. I thought Chicago would sneak in.
I
I
didn't
didn't think they were going to be like in the top. I thought they would like steal one of like the eighth spot or something.
For whatever reason, I just couldn't see it in Chicago. I didn't think they had enough offensive scoring. And yeah, I know you got Cardosa and Angel Reese, and then I did like Ariel Atkins as well. But outside of it, I was concerned about his shooting. And then to me, you didn't bring back your best scorer in Kennedy Carter. Um, so I was just like, I don't know about the Chicago team, and it
They
to me,
had, I mean,
it,
at the time they had Vandersloot,
right.
so I think that was the hope that that was going to help. But I mean, you're trusting and almost, and this is no disrespect to Vandersloot. She's probably one of the best players that the WNBA has had in a while. When she retires, it's going to be a thing. Um, but she is knocking on retirement probably.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who you wanted to be the scorer. I don't know. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying like the roster as we see it down the stretch now is not what it was at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, had higher expectations for Nurse too, I think.
Yeah, and I
So
and I, I think just the league is so tough when you get off to those slow starts. The way it's so competitive, when you get off to a slow start, it's hard to catch up.
oh yeah. Yeah, there's so much parity now. And then I think a lot of people didn't know what to expect from the Valkyries, and they just took over.
Yeah.
So,
I was impressed with them when I saw them in LA. I did like them. I was like,
Coach of the Year right there. If
yeah.
she doesn't, if Natasha doesn't win Coach of the Year, I'd be shocked.
And then I had the other team, talking about teams we thought would make a playoff run. I jumped off that Dallas bandwagon pretty quick too. One of the first couple of episodes in because when they were like 1-9 and 1-10 or something, I was just like I'm off. I was just like it was too they were just too far behind way too early in the season, and I just didn't see how they could catch up that much ground
Well,
with the teams that were
I
ahead of them.
absolutely. I don't expect them to make a coaching change, unfortunately.
Really?
No, that's the GM's boy. So,
But
I mean, that's you cannot tell me that there were not better options at coach that interviewed to. Well, I mean, we knew they were going to draft Paige.
yeah, that was a no-brainer.
You telling me that they already had the roster that they had, which they've blown up since then.
hmm
They had who's in Vegas now. They had Carrington, who's in the Lynx now. They had Enrique, and they had Paige. I mean, that alone would make me interested in
I
seeing what
I
I
thought
could
that was
do
a
with that.
playoff team.
Yeah, and you wouldn't. I'm sure you're in very good company. And yeah, it got ugly quick.
But if I'm the
So
GM, I'm gonna I'll fire my boy before both of us lose our job. I just gotta let him go. Like nothing personal, but it's business.
oh, I would too. They have an assistant coach there that was very successful and unrivaled. So I don't know why they didn't just let her do her thing halfway through
I-
the season anyway and see what happens. They didn't have anything to lose.
because if you look at the players, they don't look too fond of the coach. It's like they don't really, care too much for him.
Body language is not good. Like, yeah. And
And then
nobody has been sad to leave.
and then you saw when Carrington got traded, she said she was finally in a place where she could enjoy basketball again. So you hear this type of
Yeah.
stuff, like,
Well, winning does solve problems. So
it does. And then the team that you go into is got the best record in the league. That
yep.
won't hurt at all. But you know what? She didn't play last night. It's like I think she got something bothering her shoulder. She had her arm in the sleeve in the
She
sling.
was having she was battling some injuries when she was still in Dallas, and they're
Mhm.
probably just still lingering, I would
Yeah,
imagine. So
yeah. So she didn't
I mean,
play
if
last
you
night.
don't need her, now rest her because you might need her for the playoffs.
Yeah,
So
they definitely gonna need her. And one of the other things I asked Courtney Williams was, did she feel like it was another gear that the team could hit? And she said absolutely. She said it was definitely
mm,
something else, another gear. They still want to go out there and play. And she said they expected to play the full game yesterday. She said we go out here to play. She said we want to play the whole game, which they did. But she said it's still another gear that the team she feels like the team could hit. And like I said, for me, the thing that I worry about with them is just like the the size advantage for them. Just I mean, they slightly lost the rebound battle yesterday. I think it was like 28-29. But I think just depending on matchups, that's still gonna be the thing. But
yeah,
Minnesota is just, if you watch them play though, they're fun to watch and they are really good, fundamentally sound, smart. They move the ball. If you turn the ball over though, they'll make you pay. They are super disciplined. They move the ball, and it's just like when the Aces turn the ball over, it's like they capitalize almost every single time. Like you cannot
yep.
turn the ball over against them. They just fundamentally sound.
They just have so much depth too. Like,
They do.
we were talking about, oh, the game strategy could be like, oh, just go double Asia and make somebody else earn their check as, a game strategy against the aces. You can double team Fee. Good luck. Because
They
they
got
got
shooters
plenty of
all over the
players.
court.
Yes. You can go ahead and double Fee, but somebody else is still going to just hang 30 on you. So,
That's what I was worried about yesterday. It was just like, matter of fact, their first three possessions was threes. The first
yeah.
three. And I was just like,
Yeah.
man, I was like, can
From like the fifth best player on the team. you
everybody,
know, or a bench player with Natisha, like
man, when I was like, when you watch them, they legit. I can't take nothing away from them. Like
they have
they,
a roster of starters. Truly, if a lot of those women went to other teams, they would be in a starting five.
yeah, man, it just you gotta be on. You gotta have your best game when you play them. You gotta take care of the ball. If you don't, and then the ball movement, and then you watch the players cut. It was just like the Aces. They had some breakdowns on the defensive end. It was at times where they would lose sight of players making a cut, and the Lynx would just capitalize on it every time. One false move, they gonna swing the ball, find the open man or open woman, and they just
Yeah,
every time those threes, man, they legit. It's gonna take a you're gonna have to play a hell of a game to beat them, honestly, in a
yeah,
5 game series. And if they go to the
oh
final
yeah.
7 game series, but whoever it is, uh they you got your work cut out for you.
You still think it's going to be New York?
I can't go that far now. I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's a lot of basketball still left to play,
It's
but
a lot.
I don't.
I think they just got to
I
get
think
help.
it's a conversation now, and I don't think it was as much of a, we didn't think it was as much of a conversation
Yeah, because
very long ago.
New York is like they just tailing off though for whatever. I know they got injuries. It's like they just kind of like
Yeah.
tailing off. And I think at this point in time, it's hard to just flip that switch in professional
Yep.
sports and just like catch on all out of nowhere, unless you kind of like peaking right now, like the Aces are. And New York just seems like they kind of like going the other direction. Minnesota, they still kind of like right there at the top. But man,
Hmm.
I think
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
tough.
gonna depend on matchups. Like whoever, Minnesota, I mean New York ends up playing in the first round or however the
If
series falls.
this season ended today, they'd end up playing Phoenix, right?
I believe so. I think they're both
That's
like
something.
4 or 5 right now. Because I think Atlanta is 3 and Phoenix is 4, New York is 5. Matter of fact, we picked that game last week, and I think I got to give you credit because you picked Phoenix, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take New York in that game, and New York couldn't get it
Yeah,
done.
I don't know. No, unfortunately, I would. There are times in my life where I would love to be wrong, and that was one of them. But
I just hope they can get
yeah,
healthy though.
there's nothing about besides injuries. There's absolutely nothing about New York's roster that says they shouldn't be right up there with Vegas and Minnesota.
Right.
And I feel like they're more in the Golden State Seattle conversation than they are the,
I'm gonna hold your feet to the
Aces.
fire. Hold your feet to the fire real quick. So 4 and 5 said it'll be Phoenix, New York. If you had to pick between those two right now, who would you pick to win that series? I know Phoenix won last week, but in a 5 game series, who would you think will win between those two?
I still say New York because of experience.
Mhm.
I think in a series. Um, yeah, I mean, you have Copper and you have Sabali, so, but then you have everybody else is very young in the WNBA and very inexperienced. And I mean, that does matter for playoff runs, I think. Um, versus New York, I mean, there's a bunch of playoff veterans, both having played together in New York, but also elsewhere, so that might be the difference
Yeah.
when it comes to, I think the gameplay could be really close. I will say, this has been my biggest complaint about New York throughout the season. If they go in those playoffs and they start slow, they might as well just keep their bags packed before they even come out.
Just
So,
take it on in. Yeah. I th- I hope they can. I would like I just want to see how everybody closes out the season though, like right now. Like playing their best ball. Um, of course,
I
like
mean,
health
obviously,
is always gonna be a big factor with any team though.
I think it's a big factor and a big topic for New York because you have players like Stewie and like Sabrina and John Quell. Like those are the players that are injured for New York right now, and
Mhm.
uh, that's you're talking about not quite MVP level players right at their current state, but pretty close, So
That would be a
yeah,
fun series to watch, though. I would love to see them in Phoenix play in the first round. That I think
yeah,
would be a really good series to watch.
yeah. I think it would be a series. That says like it might actually be decided on something that's not on the court, like experience. But it would definitely be a series in their current, like both of their teams' current state.
Absolutely. Definitely a lot more to talk about, like with everybody getting the seating situated. But we'll be right back. Let's take a quick break and then we're gonna come back and we got to discuss the latest with Angel Reese. So stay tuned. This is Cross the Line Sports. Welcome back to Cross the Line Sports. Carlos here with Nicole Oates back again, and we are about to discuss Angel Reese. She receives her eighth technical foul and she was suspended against the game against the Indiana Fever, and now she's suspended again for the first half against the Las Vegas Aces game, which will be Sunday night, for some comments they deemed detrimental to the team. Basically, speaking about the roster that's constructed and potentially, her future with the team as well. So Nicole, with everything surrounding Angel Reese, what are your thoughts about her comments as far as like the roster construction and the front office, putting that roster together?
Well, that's quite a multi-tiered question there.
Yeah.
Like at face value, she's not wrong. Like the
Hmm.
Chicago Sky have well before Angel Reese was ever in the WNBA, but notoriously mismanaged players, player development. I mean, you can look across the league at former Chicago players that are stars on their own teams right now. They're you look like we've already talked about plenty of them on this podcast. I mean, we've got Copper down in Phoenix, Gabby in Seattle. Like the playoffs are littered with former Chicago players. Um, it's a shame. It should be like a destination location too, a big market. But I don't. Chicago just can't get right. So, like this problem was long before Angel got here, and unfortunately, like it is still there. I know they got Cardoso, they got her. They have good depth pieces, but it's a very short list. Um, so she's not wrong. I
Hmm.
mean, she essentially said, "Look, like I'm tired of losing, and I'm tired of me caring more than you, the front office cares." Is essentially what I got from what she said. I mean, she said like we have good players, but we don't have great players. She's not really wrong. I mean, if you take Reese and Cardoso off, who are the next best players on that team? Rachel Banham?
I would say Eric Atkins, me personally, maybe.
Yeah.
Eric
Well,
Atkins.
let me ask you this. Would you rather have Ariel Atkins right now or would you rather have Sonia Citron?
Mm. You can't go wrong with Citron though.
You can't. But they got Atkins with the number 3 pick. They
Hmm.
traded that number 3 pick that became Sonia Citron for Atkins.
Hmm. But well, you know how I feel anyway about
Yeah.
this roster, how they constructed it. Because when I look at them from last year, I feel like they kind of like threw in the towel because they were right there in the mix. I like the team that they had last year when you had Coach Witherspoon and then you had Marina Mabry and you had Kennedy Carter with Angel Reese.
Maybe didn't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, I understand it, but man, they had some
But
pieces right there.
they did. But and I think that speaks more to support Angel's point. Like the front office has some soul searching to do. And why do
Mhm.
players like Gabby and I mean Kalia, I mean, kind of got did dirty there, but why does a player like Mabry, why do they not want, why would she rather be, I mean, she didn't really want to be in Connecticut either, but she seems to be happier there at the current moment, like
Yeah.
why would she rather be anywhere else but Chicago?
Right. I would just wonder what's going on with the organization because they just won a championship not that long ago, maybe what, 4 or 5 years ago when Candace Parker was there, somewhere around there.
They did. They had a bunch of players that kind of came back. Like they had Vandersloot, they had Quigley. um, older, more experienced players.
But do you think the front office changed that much since then? Because it's like it's not that long ago where you won a championship. So from that time, yeah, I know players
I
move
don't
on,
think the front
things
office
change.
was well, the coach was better then too. They haven't been right since that coach, but and what I'm about to say is absolutely no reflection on the players that were there, and more of a reflection on the front office.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good,
Hmm.
and I think that might be the case. You had enough professional, talented, proud to be playing for Chicago players that were on that roster, and they were going to win in spite of that front office, not because of it.
So
And
so
that's how they got
ultimately,
those championship.
so ultimately, you just feel like it's just, and I get it. You got a front office does have a lot to do with everything, but man, it's and I hope I feel for Coach Marsh because I hope because I know he did a
Yeah,
great job with player development here in Vegas, and now he's the head coach. This is his first year there, but uh, she kind of threw him under the bus too as well because one of the articles I was reading was
yeah,
saying something about he didn't really hold the players accountable. So not only did you throw your teammates under the bus saying you want better need better players, but you throwing your coach under the bus, and then you taking shots at the front office as well. So
yeah.
you can yeah, it may be the truth, but when you say those type of things out loud, that's gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way, even your coach, because I'm pretty sure he came to bat for Angel many occasions. So that's
He definitely comes to bat for his players, I think, because he got suspended a few games ago
what I'm
for
saying.
being like mad on behalf of his players, you know. So, and
So
he's a pretty, I mean, you probably had some more interaction than I have, you know, covering the aces and stuff, but he's a pretty chill person.
he
Like to
is,
see
yeah.
him that, yeah, to see him that, um, like upset or emotional is kind of out of character for him. So that was
Mhm.
definitely like a passionate moment for his team and his players. Like he cares. He's
Exactly.
invested for sure.
Exactly. The times
Um,
I've came across him and I spoke to him a couple of the games. He was just always kind of like just very much reserved, just really nice
yeah,
guy.
good job. Laid back. Yeah, that's the you know experience that I've seen so far too. And I haven't heard any players say anything negative or all the players that have ever talked about him have great things to say. I mean, even you know, you were talking about Jackie Young, like she credits a lot of her development to
Yeah.
Tyler Marsh. So
Hmm.
I think that's another reason I had higher expectations of Chicago this year because I thought for a long time player development was a piece that was lacking. But you went out and got a coach like Tyler March, who has hung his hat on player development successfully, not for nothing. Like he has players that have been successful under his instruction, and it's just not materializing. And I get 100% get why Angel's frustrated.
Hmm.
It's also I do think that it's also hard. There's so much parity in the WNBA right now. I know we've talked a lot about that. I think it's hard for players that have been so good at their job really for so long to come to the WNBA or any professional league and lose
Hmm.
consistently. And now here we are to, I mean, last season for Chicago arguably was better than this season. So in Reese's eyes, like this situation isn't getting better; it's getting worse.
Right.
Like, and I'm sick of losing. And you should be as a professional, like you should not be okay with just existing in whatever league that you are a professional in. You should be wanting to grow and wanting to get better and, you know, hold yourself, but also your, you know, coworkers, if you will, to high expectations. I mean, that's what we see from championship caliber, you know, championship winning teams across all leagues. A certain level of accountability and communication that is had is 100% necessary. So,
And I like don't get me wrong, I love Angel Reese. I think she has a really bright future, but I think it does still come back to accountability as well. Like you saying you
sure.
need great players, but what are you putting in the absolute most work that you can? I mean, I love everything she's doing off the court, but are you still putting in the work required to be a great player? Because to me personally, I don't look at her as a great player yet. I think she's a good player, a really good player, and then she's great at rebounding. But it's like
She,
all around great player. I don't
yeah.
consider her a great player right at this moment.
I will say, and I think I said this earlier on a different episode, earlier in the podcast, like I did expect her to take a next step this year.
Mhm.
There was a lot of
I think a
talk
lot of
in the
people did. Yeah.
offseason about her linking up with some WNBA greats and having workouts and getting, some coaching. And that her intent was to be putting in the work to take that next step. And we haven't really seen it materialized, I
Right.
don't think. Not again, I kind of same thing you're saying. Like that doesn't mean that she's not good. She's still a fantastic player.
Mhm.
But she hasn't taken that next step that I think a lot of people kind of expected from her. But with that being said, is Chicago the place that she's going to take it?
Mhm. Do you think she moves on, or do you think she stays here? Because I don't think Chicago will be in a rush to trade her just because I know they were getting a new facility built, and of course the way business is. I mean, she's averaging a double double. It's not like she's playing terrible, but of course she does bring in revenue. She is a star in this league.
Well, it would be a more astute business move to do your soul searching and find some veterans that are some high level veterans that want to be in Chicago that will create. Chicago doesn't have a culture either, and I think that's part of the problem. Like a lot of these places, you'll see like the team kind of mirror the vibe of the city, or and you don't even have that.
Hmm.
Um, they don't have an identity. There's just a bunch of young players trying to figure it out,
Right.
and they have a new coach every freaking year. you
No,
know,
no stability. No stability at head
no,
coach.
no identity, no stability, and the front office doesn't seem like it wants to do anything to manufacture or inject that in any way either. So like nothing's going to improve. I, I thought things would get somewhat better. I did think they would take maybe a half a step with, albeit the first season with Tyler Marsh, and I don't know if I've even seen that. So,
Yeah,
uh,
to me, I was just like, man, I don't know, and
I'd be hard pressed to blame Tyler for that, but maybe I'm just biased because of his tenure in Vegas. So,
yeah, I, I just hope they give him another year. Because it's not fair to bring in a coach for 1 year and then let him
oh
go.
yeah, I don't think I don't know if I blame this season on. I'm sure there is some analysis that can be done where he could have improved 100%, but I they can bring in a new coach next year. I think they're going to get the same result. So at some
Exactly.
point, it's
Yeah.
not the coach and it's not the players, it's something else.
Mhm.
They brought new players in every season. They've brought new coaches in every season, and it hasn't solved anything and it hasn't moved the needle at all. So I don't know. If everybody you date, sometimes it's you, man. Sometimes it's you.
So
you
so
know?
she so she's I can't knock her for what I
Yeah.
want to say.
I
I mean,
mean,
I get what
was
she's
there like a
saying.
more PC way to do it? Maybe,
Yeah,
but that's also not her style.
you just
Like it's
can't, but
not.
you just can't throw your teammates under the bus though, because then it's like you rubbing them the wrong way, and then do they really want to play with you at this point? Like, man, you really think we're not that
She
good?
didn't
Of
really
course,
want to play with
no, the
them
team
either.
is not
So
good, but it's just like, man, like if you really feel this way about us, like why should we even care about playing with you like that? Like you just rub your team the
sure.
wrong way. You already losing, so then you
And
just
you put your
hurt the chemistry.
organization in a place where they're going to keep you and figure it out, or they're going to keep everybody else and let you go. And maybe that's the situation she wants to be in.
Yeah, this I I think of course I believe they'll give her another year because I don't think Coach Marshall want her to be let gone.
I don't think they let her go. She's the only reason people are showing up
That's what
to
I'm
watch
saying.
them right now, truly.
Just from a
So
business standpoint, like you want to see Angel Reese. So for no other reason, yeah, they might lose, but you want to come see Angel
and
Reese.
she's well liked among players in the WNBA. I
Mhm.
find it hard to believe that there aren't players that would want to play with her that are bigger stars. But Chicago has to. You're telling me you can't get a star to come to Chicago? That's not a player or a coach problem. That's a front office problem. Like
Yeah.
something's going on and people don't be there.
Yeah, and you know the one thing about it, the players are gonna talk. So they probably asking around like what you think about Chicago and how everything goes on behind the scenes. And unless you paying them like top dollar or max contract, whatever the new CBA is, because then they're gonna have more money to pay you. That'll be only
Yeah,
one of the
so they're gonna have to break open the bank for some players,
yeah.
or they're gonna be. I mean, they're already at the bottom. They don't have very much further to fall, so they better figure it out quickly.
I ask you one other question about Angel. So if just say she was to move on, where would you see? I mean, I know you got new teams coming, but like right now, hypothetically, like if she was to move on, who do you think would like to take their chance in grabbing Angel Reese?
It's gonna be a rich get richer situation. Um, I mean, I have teams that I think she'd be fun to be on, but I don't know if I see anything. I mean, Atlanta. She'd learn a lot in Atlanta,
Yeah, that would
and BG isn't getting any younger.
yeah, yeah. BG is to me, she
She'd
just
have a fantastic market in Atlanta.
oh
Like,
yeah.
it's like a good match.
Angel Reese in Atlanta. Oh man, they
But
would
then the team
love.
they have now too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I don't know what the cost of that for Atlanta would be. Um, but yeah,
I would move Brittany
I
Griner.
just draft picks. Yeah, I would because that's essentially who she's going to push off the roster at this
Yeah,
point. If you leave the roster the way it is, you are getting Angel Reese to replace BG for sure.
yeah. Brittany, Brianna Jones and Angel Reese down in the paint. That wouldn't be a bad move. Any other?
She would just have so many good vets to learn from there too. I think that they
Mhm.
kind of play the style that she likes to play, and the market's fantastic for her. The fans are already there; like they'd be there just because there's loyal. I mean, they were there when Atlanta was at the bottom of the freaking, barrel. So Atlanta fans are like super loyal. Smasco seems like he's a fantastic coach. The players seem to really like playing for him. He's been doing some great things in Atlanta too. So the front office has proven that it will make moves to make Atlanta a viable team. So I mean, I it seems like it would be a win for both sides there. So
Yeah, I think definitely for her, being on a team that has veterans that she can lean on, especially like if you going through tough times like this where you're losing, being around veterans that can kind of help pick you up and you can lean on them for guidance is going to be something that's very pivotal, especially with her with so much that she has on her plate right now, just on the court and off the court. Having
yeah,
a solid veteran in her corner would definitely, help her with far as like her development as well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I also think that, we were talking about the accountability piece. Like, that's not lacking in Atlanta, I don't think. They have such high caliber players that have high expectations of themselves, but also the team, that I think that like, if that is her goal, that she would fit in that mindset. And that is already a thing that exists in Atlanta. So, like, she wouldn't have to manufacture that or push that narrative herself. It would,
The more we talk about it though, Angel Reese in Atlanta, I like the sound of that. And I spent a lot of
yeah,
time down there, traveling, doing interviewing entrepreneurs and
it'd be
just
a lot of fun.
in it. Oh man,
Yeah.
Angel Reese in
On the court
Atlanta.
and off the court. I would love it.
It,
Yeah.
oh yeah, man, that would be great. It would be
You see
great
Angel Reese at all the Falcons games, man. Like,
everywhere. She would. Oh man, she'd be all over Atlanta, man. She would be at
all the Hawks
Atlanta.
games, all those players. Yeah. It'd be a whole
Oh man,
thing. It'd be a
it was
Atlanta thing.
big
It'd be a
time.
lot of fun.
That'll be fun. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on with Angel Reese. They won't make the playoffs this year, but hopefully next year they'll have a better season. Let's talk about
Yeah.
another team, another superstar in the league that unfortunately one of her draft mates won't be coming back this year is Miss Caitlin Clark. They shut her down for the season, which I kind of had that feeling just because how much time she was missing and she stayed pretty much banged up all year. But the team is still pretty much in playoff contention right at this moment. So Nicole, I know Caitlin announced yesterday that she's gonna be shutting it down for the year. So what are your thoughts on the whole Indiana and Caitlin Clark situation?
Um, I I think that was kind of a mismanagement of her. On I don't know. I'm such a fan of like medical staff. I hate to like bring that up, but it is a thing. Like I don't think she should have come back as early as she did. And I think that whatever she had going on, she made it worse when she came back too early.
Hmm.
I think they've known for a long time that she was not coming back.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Think they finally pulled the plug once they realized like where they were in the scheme of the playoffs and the rest of their team's construction. Because they don't have hardly anybody left. You know,
Right.
I mean, they do have some fantastic players that are still healthy. Like AB's still healthy, Kelsey's still healthy, Natasha's still healthy. You know, so I mean, they're still doing better. I mean, these are first world problems, kind of. This their roster is still kind of better than some teams that are significantly healthier, but they are a shell of what they were, and that is maybe putting it too lightly. Everybody's on IR,
Yeah. They
truly.
they banged
I
up.
mean,
Yeah.
obviously, Caitlin is the biggest name that people really would have liked to see make a playoff run. But Sophie's gone, Ari's gone. I mean, Ari was doing a fantastic job of kind of like keeping them afloat till they thought Caitlin was going to come back, but she's gone. Sid's gone. Sid was a critical piece if they were going to make a playoff run, I think.
Hmm.
Um, just for her like veteran presence, if not for on the court, participation. So I don't know. And Lexi's out there playing with two black eyes. So, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
man. They're dragging themselves into the playoffs one way or another, but yeah, it'll be a short time, I think,
Yeah. Short.
before they're home together.
Yeah. Kudos to them for hanging in, but this is gonna
Yeah.
be if they make it into the playoffs, this is gonna be a blessing in disguise for Minnesota because it's gonna be short and sweet. It's gonna be over in
Yep.
no time. But I feel for Kate because, like I said, she just pretty much stayed banged up all year long, and then like you said, she came back too early, and she probably knew she was back too early, and then she just had to shut it down for All Stars, and it was
Yeah.
just going on.
Caitlin also strikes me as the type of player who, like, there are players that are very self-aware and they will tell medical staff or coaches, like, hey, I don't think I'm 100%. I don't feel comfortable coming back.
Mhm.
And then there are players that are like, well, I'm not dead yet, so I'm going to play if you're going to let me, And I feel like Caitlin's more of the latter. And that might come, she's really young still, so that might be an age thing. We're all kind of like that when we're younger.
Right.
Um, and then as we get older, we become more aware of what our limitations should be, maybe.
Mhm.
So I think there's probably a little bit of that at play there. I think she might be the type of player that you just have to tell her that she's not playing,
Yeah.
um, and not really let it be a player decision.
And I,
And I'm not sure. I again, I have no evidence that that was going on there, but it seems like I don't know. There's just been so many injuries in Indiana. I kind of have question marks about the management of the medical assessment there anyway.
and I think part of it could be, the expectations were just so high for Indiana this year, where people were talking about the additions
Absolutely.
they made and potential finals for them and Caitlin Clark, and you hear all
They
that
had a fantastic
noise.
roster. I mean, I think if they were at full health right now, we would be talking about them in that way.
Hmm.
You know, like who's gonna face Minnesota is the conversation that we're having now. And if they still
Yeah.
had, Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham and Ari for depth coming off the bench, like I do think we'd very much be talking about them in a, you know, more significantly more competitive.
Hmm.
Like we're talking kind of about like a Vegas or something. So
And that probably those expectations probably could have played a part in, the medical staff kind of like somewhat rushing them back to get they just want to get you back to where at least you can get on the court and play. So it probably was
yep.
part of it was like, well, we got these high expectations. Maybe you good to go. You can't hurt it anymore. And then when you get out there, banged up, you get banged up even more. So it's probably like a combination of that and the players, hearing the outside noise about potential finals run, and then you come back too soon, and then you get these injuries to Caitlin Clark, and which she probably knew then, like, yeah, it's probably worse than what she thought. So she had, by the time All Star came, she had no choice but to shut it down. Even it had to be serious if she shut it down, and the All Star weekend was in Indiana. So
Yeah,
it had to be
for sure.
serious for her to just shut it down like that. So I just
Hmm.
think it was just the expectation, probably rushing to get back. And then of course, with all the other injuries, it was just a lot that was just going on. Some just basketball injuries. It's just a lot that was going on with Indiana. But for Caitlin Clark, I feel bad for her because I know she would love to be out there with her teammates playing, but I think she's doing the right thing just by shutting it down. Because at this point of the
Yeah,
season,
they don't
I
have.
don't
They're
see
not
how
going to
people.
win the championship. There's
No, no,
nothing.
no.
They don't get paid for the playoffs. So what are
Yeah,
you paying for?
exactly. Just shut it down. Yeah,
Well,
it's just too
it'd be
late
a
in the
shame if
season.
she did come back to go out there and get hurt. She's not even collecting a check. She's
Exactly.
just out there. It's not worth it. You have a whole nother season next year.
And then you
Just
come and then you come back for the playoffs, and what do you get? You get Minnesota in the first round, and then you got to chase Courtney Williams all around the court, and all
yeah.
that team good.
Like man, the three already wasn't falling for her this year. Sometimes you just gotta say better luck. Better luck next time.
Yeah, it was just too much going on, and I if you're Indiana, like I'm assuming they still do have the first round pick this year. Am I correct? I think they still have a. Do they have a first rounder this year?
I have to check on that one.
Because I would, man, if you fall out of the playoffs and depend on what happens with the lottery, man, because you're not going anywhere. In the first round, it's like
Yeah.
you're gonna get either Minnesota or depending on how everything shakes out. I'll bet money that it's either gonna be you playing either Minnesota or you're gonna play the Aces in the first round, and either way
Yeah.
you go home.
Yeah. 100%.
Or if you have to play Atlanta, you still go home.
Yeah. That's a scrappy team. I have a lot of respect for what they've been trying to do down the stretch, but there's just nothing in the tank.
Yeah,
I mean, you still have AB, you still have Kelsey. Like, those are fantastic players, but in a series, that's tough. You have no, I mean, they're out there playing, again, no disrespect because the, you know, people that have them that are on hardship, filling hardship contracts are still fantastic players, but
mhm.
like you're out there playing with people that haven't been playing all season.
You're right.
Like, I mean, you got Bree, I mean, Bibby was there. She got hurt like right away, so like, they're just playing with whoever they might be hosting tryouts soon at the
Yeah.
rate they're going.
Yep, and it's almost that next man up mentality. But
Yeah.
I will give Indiana this much credit though. They are still playing hard and they are still trying to win, and they doing whatever they can to, bring in players to kind of like help fill in their roster and make
Yeah.
moves. So they are trying to compete. It's not like they're trying to tank and just throw in the towel and say this season is over. Like they are still, competing. They just running out of bodies to put out there on the court at this point.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you just can't go into the playoffs with higher expectations if your half of your roster is constructed of people who weren't even playing last week.
Right.
So
Right.
it's just tough. Like, obviously, we talk about a lot about, especially in other sports, about like there's being in shape and then there's in game shape.
Games.
And,
Yeah.
and look how long it took Vegas to, I mean, they had some injection of, um, some roster shakeups and they're just hitting their stride now. So these players haven't even had time to play together and get a teamwork situation going. So it's kind of unfortunate for Indy, but that's the way I think it's going to end for them this year.
So if you were in Caitlin Clark's camp, how would you approach this off season again? I know like last off season, she really had, you went from the NCAA tournament, you made it to the finals, and then you rushed right into the WNBA season. And then so she pretty much kind of like shut it down. She didn't do any type of play basketball outside of that. How would you approach this off season, with her having these injuries, would it be another off season where she just shuts it down, or what would you tell her to do?
No, I mean, whatever, medical situation is going on, like you have to clear that first. You can't really be doing any basketball related activities, you know, with that if it's keeping her out of basketball that much. I mean that she has been at kind of like shoot arounds and stuff like that, so it's not like she's not an invalid, like
Right,
but she like again, there's a difference between being out there and being in shape and being able to play a game, so she does have to get the medical situation resolved. Once you're on the other side of that, honestly, she needs to get in the gym. Like
yeah.
most of her issues this year, like she's a push off machine. Like
Mhm.
she, like, I mean, you know that players are going to meet you at half court, and you know that players are going to like swarm you on defense. Like when you're a good player, you just command that, regardless of who you are. And so you're not doing yourself any favors by not like conditioning yourself for it. In the first year, like you just don't, you go straight from college right into the WNBA season. You don't have time for that. Um, and so that I think that's a learning curve that everybody is going through, and you see that regardless of who the player is, anyway, truly. And then some players get themselves a routine. Sometimes it takes a year or two,
Mhm.
So hopefully, once she's on the other side of the medical situation, I think that probably should be her first step.
Yeah,
I think that would solve a lot of issues for her
yeah. My
as
main
far as like,
yeah, my main concern for her is just to get healthy though, because
yeah,
I know that
absolutely.
transition last year was tough, especially with all the attention and everything and how
Yeah.
that being in that spotlight from college straight to the WNBA, that big spotlight. So that was a lot on her. And then just now, just the injuries, just taking a toll on her.
Hmm.
My main thing, just get healthy, and just work on your game. Whenever you get cleared by the doctors, work on your game. Don't worry about trying to join any other type of league. I know the Unrivaled League or any other league
Yeah.
would love to have her, but just get healthy
Yeah.
right
I feel like there's plenty of time for that. Like she isn't going to stop being good or at the level that she is at anytime soon. So,
now.
um, maybe this is the off season again of not joining any of that stuff and getting healthy, getting yourself ready for another basketball season in the WNBA and just kind of doing your thing.
Absolutely. We got to take one more break and then we'll be back. We're gonna finish up with the talk with the Connecticut Sun and the final two playoff spots. So stay tuned. This is Cross the Line Sports. Welcome back to Cross the Line Sports. Back again with Nicole. Now, Nicole, I know last episode we spoke about the Connecticut Sun and them potentially selling the team and potentially relocating to Boston. But now it's another update saying the state is potentially talking about making the purchase and keeping them in Connecticut. Can you talk a little bit more about, just breaking that down some more about what's potentially to come for the Sun?
Yeah, so basically the state of Connecticut's like, hey, like, we really like basketball, women's basketball. I mean, they got UConn there. And they mentioned them kind of in the statement that they made, and they're pretty committed to keeping the team in Connecticut if at all possible, to include the state purchasing a share in this and footing the bill to build them. Um, uh, they wouldn't really build them a new facility. I think they plan on using People Bank, which is already going through like $150 million remodel or something like that. Um, and that's it. And like they want them closer to Hartford from everything I've seen. Right now they only have a certain amount of games that can be played in Hartford, I think. But I think that is Connecticut's goal if they were to have this option, if the WNBA kind of allows them to have this option, because they aren't an exception to the rule there. The WNBA is just kind of throwing them in the pile,
Hmm.
and they'll have to go through the same situation that we talked about last time that everybody else is going through. Um, but they have offered to build them like new facilities in the sense of like training, practice gym, stuff like that, using the state's money. So That is a interesting development for sure. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a state that's really more committed at this point,
Yeah,
verbally at least, to a women's basketball team that isn't at their peak. I mean, there's plenty of teams that love their WNBA teams that exist,
right.
but this team isn't winning anything right now, and the state is still like, we don't want to see them go. We're pretty committed to them. We'll even use some of our own money to keep them here. The cool thing about, I think, the People's Bank aspect of it is right now where they play, they have a capacity of like 9,000 fans, something like that, I think. And where they would like to have them in Connecticut has a capacity of 16,000. So that'd be pretty cool. Um, just to have the opportunity. I mean, cool for the, especially potentially under the new CBA, what that materializes as for the players on the Connecticut Sun and the team, but also for the fans in that area. So
What do you think it was?
interesting.
What do you think it was that made the state finally just step in and kind of like the last minute say, "Hold on, we want to make sure we keep the team here," because it looked like almost like they were getting ready to be on the move to Boston, and now they
Yeah.
step in. What do you think it was that finally made them just kind of like step back in?
Well, if I remember right, the owner of the Bucks put in basically the same bid that
Mhm.
Boston did. Um, and they were not moving them to Milwaukee, they were moving them to Hartford. So I wonder if there were some rich people rumblings and
Mhm.
somebody got a good idea. Like maybe the WNBA can't be convinced if me and owner does it because I can't double dip and all the other red tape that's involved, in this whole situation. But maybe if the state was involved, um, it would have a different vibe or a different tone or what have you. And maybe it's the same thing, just a different angle. But I will say Connecticut definitely does love their, women's basketball. So there is that for sure.
And I
There's always market there.
I think when you see the valuations of like where these teams are valued and where how they just skyrocketing in value, that could help play a big part of it as well. When you see like the returns that are coming back for these teams, because they're not going down, it's only going up from here, and the way the league is growing.
Yeah, Connecticut is kind of, I know they had a rough go of it this year, but Connecticut can be a good team quick, I think.
Mhm.
They have, or they have Sanaya, who had I know she's kind of overshadowed because so many rookies had so many good seasons, but Sanaya Rivers was phenomenal this season.
Mhm.
Uh, if she was in another class, she might be rookie of the year.
And you still got to need
So
tomorrow too.
yeah.
And this,
She was injured at the beginning of the season, so she got off to kind of a slower start, but she's been a
mhm.
great player. You still got Mabry there.
Mhm.
You know, Edwards just got traded there
Yep.
recently, like they have good
Hell, yep.
pieces. So they could be a very good team pretty quick, I think. So, and maybe there's some of that going on too. Like they're not really ready to offload them because they see the potential there.
Right.
Um,
And they
but
they were
yeah,
just
it's
in the
definitely interesting.
they were just in the mix last year. It was just crazy to see how they completely
They just
just
blew it
had
up.
their entire starting five just out the blue.
Coach too. Coach is in
Yeah,
Indy now. They got rid of
yeah.
everybody besides Mabry, and she wanted out too once upon a time. So I think her tune has changed now. But yeah,
But yeah,
she's
yeah,
definitely working in the WNBA right now.
yeah, it's they got a like I said, it's a young team, but then when you see everything that's going on around the league and the evaluations of everything, I and I like I said, I lean on you on this topic because like you know that you know a lot more about that fan base than I do. So initially,
Mm.
when I heard Boston, it just just thinking about how they hardcore about all of their sports. I immediately thought, well, if they leave Connecticut, man, Boston is like the perfect location for
Yeah.
it because of how they love all of their sports. And I figure, if they go there, it'll be the same way for women's basketball too.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I do think that it would be an advantageous move for them. I think a lot of their fan base is still pretty accessible for them. It's just, everything in the Northeast is a drive.
Mhm.
So they're not that far away. you know, there was chatter about moving them to Rhode Island briefly, like
Mhm.
so I feel like they're gonna land somewhere in that geographical area. Um, but I will say, as much as I would love to see them in a market like Boston, just because it's just so much easier to, do everything in a big market.
Mhm.
Um, like completely squeeze out smaller markets either. Um, so
Right.
there's that element there. I'm kind of torn there. I do love like I feel like they've done well in a smaller market. And I think Mohegan Sun, as a tribe, is recognizing that they have outgrown where they currently are. I don't know if moving to Harvard is a significant step, but
Yeah.
I also, again, like everybody can't play in a massive market. Like I kind of still have a soft spot for the smaller markets.
Yeah. And I remember, well, I know it's kind of like they had last season they had a couple of games and they might have had one this year where they actually had a couple of games up there in Boston last season up there in the Garden, I believe, and they were sold out. So
Yeah,
maybe that's
yeah,
kind of
that's why
like a
I am excited about the almost double, capacity, to go from 9 to 16 is pretty
mhm,
significant. And I do think they'll be successful in a move like that. Um, and maybe that's where it is. So
mhm. But then the other part of it is like you saying, like you still have that soft spot for those smaller markets too, because sometimes those smaller markets, like those close knit communities and stuff, they rally around those teams because there's almost like all that they have at those times. So those smaller markets, man, those fans really come out and support those teams too.
I mean, a lot of these teams used to be smaller market teams. I mean, New York was in Westchester for a
Yeah.
while, like um the Mystics I used to go to Mystics games like it's been quite a few years ago now, but they used to play like out in the middle of freaking nowhere. Like I remember taking going with my friend and we would park in the parking lot and the parking lot was so far away from the place that they played that they would have a shuttle service.
Oh man,
Like
God,
yeah.
man,
Yeah, we were in the sticks, man. But
yeah.
you know, people showed up.
Mm,
So I don't know. There also is always room again, like a lot of these what we consider big market teams now did start small and maybe it's time for the Sun too. So I don't dislike the idea of moving them to a place like Boston or another bigger city. But part of me is always gonna have, you know, gotta
yeah.
root for the underdog a little.
And I can honestly relate to that too because for me, I'm from a very small town called Jonesville, South Carolina. My town is we only have like three lights in our whole entire town. So I'm kind of used to like those like smaller cities, like smaller towns, as opposed to like a very big city, just like the fast paced life. I kind of like, being out in the country and being in the smaller towns and everything like that. So I can definitely relate to it. But then there you go with the business side of it, the league is
Yeah.
gonna always do what makes sense business wise, and if it's more feasible for them to be in a bigger market, then of course, the league is gonna do what's in the best
Yeah.
interest at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. But won't stop me from rooting for Connecticut a little bit.
Right, absolutely.
Honestly, and I know like again, none of that money is going in my bank account, so I don't care. But I truly just don't want the Mohegan Sun tribe to get screwed in this whole process.
Right.
Like they really took a chance in 2003 by moving them or acquiring them, and they were in Orlando at the time, so
Hmm.
like I would really like to see their like super early on investment be rewarded here.
Right.
And I do think they're selling it at a good time for them, but also like I think part of that, and there's reports out there to support it, has been like they realize that they have done everything that they can do for this team, and it's time for somebody like to handle it on a different level.
Absolutely. So if it does happen that way, hopefully, the owners of the team, everything works out in their favor. So we'll definitely, keep tabs on what's going on with Connecticut and with the season winding down and the off season right around the corner, I'm sure we'll get more of an update on what's to come. All right. So
Yeah,
as we
fingers
get
crossed.
ready, as we get ready to wrap it up, Nicole, just looking at some more of these scores. Indiana did, knock off Chicago 97-77. And then the Dream, Atlanta, they knocked off the Sparks 104-85. So that kind of really almost puts a end to the Sparks' hopes of making the playoffs. And then there is one more big game tonight. Um, Getting ready to take place. We got the Liberty and the Storm. That's getting ready to take place shortly. So that'll be an interesting game
Yeah.
to look at. But at the moment, Indiana is the 8th seed, and they're currently 2 games ahead of the Sparks. And I think if they have the tiebreaker, that's pretty much going to seal the deal. I got to not sure, but I think they might have the tiebreaker over the Sparks. And if they do, then we pretty much have our top 8 seeds. But right now, how do you feel about where we are right now? You have Minnesota one, actually with the win right now. Atlanta has the 2 seed with the latest updates. But of course if the Aces went out, they're going to be the 2 seed because they had a tiebreaker with
Mhm.
Atlanta. But right now at this moment, just looking at the standings, it's Minnesota 1, Atlanta 2, Vegas 3, Phoenix 4, New York 5, Golden State 6, Seattle is 7, and Indiana is 8 in the standings right now as we speak. So how do you feel about the standings right now? And then that 7 and 8 seed, which are still it pretty much gonna be a sealed deal. But do you feel like that's the final 8 that's gonna make it?
I do. Yeah. I didn't really see. I mean, there was always a chance of movement, I guess, but I didn't really see anything changing, before. And, the results of today's games obviously doesn't change my mind,
Yeah. I
which is unfortunate. I would have liked to see LA make it, but
Me too. I was watching that team and just covering them. I was like, you know what, this team has the talent to make it. Cameron Brake came back a little bit late in the season, but she still wasn't all the way back yet. And then they
yeah,
had some other injuries as well. And then you let Odyssey Sims go, which I believe Odyssey Sims is in Indiana right now, I believe.
she is. She's done pretty well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And she played well when she was with LA. I don't know what happened with that situation, but she was no longer in LA, and I think she would have greatly LA would have definitely greatly
You know what? I
benefited.
don't know why they didn't keep Ari. LA didn't keep Ari either.
Yeah, they just
Indiana has done pretty well for themselves by
they are.
LA offloads.
And it looked like to me, it just looks like I will say it'll probably be, man, hold on. Let me go. I'm gonna go back and check again. So Seattle has the Liberty tonight, and then Tuesday they have the Valkyrie. It's gonna be two
Oof.
interesting games right there. Those are 2 interesting
Oh,
games for them, which they still I believe they're gonna make the playoffs. And then Indiana has the Mystics and then the Lynx. So you know what? I'm gonna say
I don't know.
this.
It depends on Mystics are tough. That's a scrappy little team. I think they're going to be good soon.
Yeah,
Real
you
good.
know what? Just because I want to see this matchup, I'm gonna say Indiana gets the 7 seed and Seattle gets the 8 seed. Just because I want to see Seattle
Yeah,
play
see the Lynx versus
Minnesota.
Seattle.
Yeah, I want to see that series, man, because I think it'll go the distance, and I think they got a real good shot. And they
Yeah.
knocked them off with about a week or two ago. I would love to see. For me, that'll probably be the go-to. My favorite series that I would want to see is and Minnesota and Seattle in the first round. So I'm gonna say Indiana
Um,
find a way to get that 7 seed.
okay.
But
And
it's
then they would play where they play Atlanta right now.
well, yeah, right now
Probably
Indiana will
Vegas, but
yeah, it'll probably be Vegas because I believe Vegas is gonna win out. But
yeah.
right now, because of Atlanta has a one game advantage over the Vegas. Right now, they currently sit at the 2 seed. And oh yeah, Vegas needs to win out. Vegas got to
Mhm.
win out because Atlanta's not gonna lose their last 2 games. I don't think they got to play the Dream twice. I mean, not the Dream. They got to play Connecticut twice. They got
Yeah,
Connecticut at home, and then they go to in Connecticut on Wednesday. So the Aces just need to win out. You got Chicago twice, and then you got the Sparks, which that Sparks game could be tricky just because it's in LA. I know the Sparks are pretty much going to be out of the playoffs, but Kelsey Plum with a chance to get back at Vegas. That
it's
could
never
be an
stopped the
interesting
team from
game.
playing spoiler.
Yep, yep. So that looks like it's gonna be the top seeds though, pretty much. So it's gonna be those last two playoff spots. It look like it's gonna belong to Seattle and Indiana, and however they fall, um, that's gonna be interesting. But who would you have tonight for this game that's getting ready to take place before we got it here? We got New York and we got Seattle. Who you like for that game?
Deja vu. Here we are again. No, it was Phoenix last time. um, give me, but give me New York. They gotta get on their horse eventually.
Yeah. I'm going the other way. I'm taking
Yeah, good
I,
for you.
I just like that Seattle team, man. I think they talent wise, I believe they
A
have.
little reverse. I feel like every time this question is posed, I pick the other team other than New York, and I'm gonna try some reverse psychology. They got to get it together. It's time. Like if they don't get it together now, they're not gonna get it together in the playoffs. Like it's time.
Yeah, it's definitely time. You know what? I just got an update on my phone. It just automatically changed the seeding. So right now, Indiana is the 7 seed and Seattle is the 8 seed. Right now at this moment. So I got the matchup that I want right
That's
now.
your wish.
I got
Yeah.
I got the matchup that I want. I think Indiana, like I said, they got
Well, well, go ahead and change your pick then, because you want them to to lose.
I do need them
So
to lose though. It would help them to lose this game because Indiana
yeah,
they got the Mystics and they got the Lynx. And I don't think that Tuesday night game, I don't see with everything locked up, there's really no need for Minnesota to really play the starters that long with everything locked up.
I
So
wouldn't risk it.
yeah,
I really wouldn't.
yeah, it's no point at this time unless you trying to make that final push for Nafisa to win MVP. I would just go ahead and just shut it
I'd
down.
rather have a championship, truthfully, and
I,
I think this could very well be their year. I don't think that they didn't have it this easy last year. I
right.
really do think that
Yeah.
now is the time if
Yeah.
they're going to do it.
Yeah, they got a great chance. Like I said, I think they hoping for Indiana in that first round though, because whew,
Yeah,
Seattle in the
Seattle's
first round is
definitely
gonna
harder.
be they're gonna be a problem for whoever, whether it's Vegas, Atlanta, whoever it is that they
Yeah,
fall
I
to.
honestly don't see a single team on the other side of that dot, like Vegas, Lynx, Phoenix, Atlanta. I think that the possibility is there that Seattle could beat any of them.
I agree. I agree. To me, they're the most dangerous team in the playoffs, especially with New York having the injury problems, and I know the
Golden
Vegas.
State is sneaky too. I'm really interested in seeing what they look like
I
in the
like,
playoffs.
yeah, I like them. They will be interesting to see who they match up with as well.
I
But
would say if the world exists where Golden State and Vegas ever see each other, that'll be some Becky
it'll
versus
be.
a former
I
coach.
I would probably take Vegas in that series, but I think it'll
Yeah.
be interesting. I don't think Golden State has an answer for Asia. I don't think.
They also they're playing without arguably their best player, like Thornton.
Yeah,
He's out for the season. So I don't think that's something that can be understated in a playoff run. To lose a player of that talent is tough. But
yeah.
I mean, they've played team ball all season, so they're not changing their formula.
But for
It's
them to
worked for
make
them.
it for them to make it this far in their very first season, it's an amazing feat, and that but
Absolutely.
so uh that's congratulations to Golden State. And like I said, we got I'm looking forward to trying to catch some of this game tonight too. So I want to see what New York, if they can, rally the troops and try to make another push in Seattle. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be mad if they lost this game just because I want them to stay at the 8 seed, but we'll see how all that shakes up, and then we'll have a better answer for everybody next week. So, Nicole, thank you again for your time. Before you get out of here, can you please tell everybody how they can find you again?
Sure. Nicole Oltz, NiCholeOltz on Facebook or Instagram. Pretty much the only one that'll pop up, so shouldn't be hard to find me.
All right, Nicole, thank you again for your time. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed this episode of Cross the Line Sports. Until next week, hopefully, we'll have all the seasons done and we'll talk about playoff basketball, which I'm excited for. So, hopefully, everybody
Yeah.
enjoyed this episode of Cross the Line Sports. Till next time, keep chasing your dreams. Thank you for listening.